There are some gaming franchises that have seemingly been going since the dawn of time. Super Mario, Zelda, Call of Duty, FIFA and others all get constant new entries, and you can be sure you will never have to wait too long before getting a new entry of some sort in one of these series. Unfortunately, not all gaming entities are created equal, with some series oozing with potential ending before they can come into their own. All the games on this list already have sequels, but they have been left in the barren wasteland of gaming history for years, and I hope that one day they can be revitalised. These are my top 5 game series that need another entry. 13 years ago saw the release of the final entry in the Jedi Knight series, Jedi Academy. Jedi Knight began in 1995 with Star Wars Dark Forces, an FPS revolving around Kyle Katarn's story of redemption, in which he joins the Imperial Army before finding out the truth of his parents' death and reneging to the Rebel Alliance as a mercenary. It was followed by Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, in which Katarn unlocks his latent force powers, and Jedi Knight 2, where he becomes a fully fledged badass. The series ended with Jedi Academy, in which you created your own young Jedi under the tutelage of Katarn and Skywalker, uncovering a pretty standard Sith plot. Jedi Academy wasn't quite as good as its predecessors, as whilst the setting, gameplay and graphics remained great and made many improvements, the story just wasn't as good. My favourite thing about the games in this series have always been the lightsaber combat. It has a feel that is simple to use but extremely difficult to master. It's a little difficult to describe, but you have a number of styles that allow you to hit at different speeds, and by angling the mouse you can hit in different directions. In addition, manoeuvring your Jedi is extremely important, as dodging and evading is just as important as striking. Jedi Knight 2 in particular holds some of my greatest gaming memories, with the online scene being simply unreal. The amount of mods released for this game was staggering, with new skins, maps and gameplay tweaks being added daily. The community was crazy, with clans and rivalries popping up all over the place. The match objectives were rarely carried out, with many games ending up players standing in a circle whilst a few duelled, becoming something of a social hub than a competitive title. A modern Jedi Knight that expanded on this traditional PC heritage whilst increasing the scope and gameplay would be fantastic. We've yet to find out exactly what EA is working on, but I really hope it is another one of these. The only problem is that Katarn has been struck from canon with Disney's clean slate, so including a game set in the former expanded universe may be beyond their remit. Well, we can dream. Black and White, Yin and Yang. Peter Molyneux's tragic triumph, Black and White was one of the most overhyped games of all time, and it could never meet the incredibly lofty claims that Molyneux had made for it. I was about 10 when this came out, and I wasn't particularly aware of the controversial build-up, and instead got the game from a recommendation by my cousin. He told me this game was all about choice, and choice you had. You could be a benevolent or destructive god, influencing not only the lives of everyone in your land, but also a giant creature that you could nurture into a healer entertainer or a malevolent tyrant. The setting felt truly unique, being completely removed from the real world and playing in an ethereal landscape that transcended cultures and the modern world, yet had a clear rooting in world identities. I adored it, playing it for hours upon hours, raising my creature and building up my village. I always played as a good god. It was just much easier to create a big populace and expand your influence with lots of happy worshippers. It has never been given the recognition it deserves because of the media surrounding it, but on a technical and gameplay level it reached heights that very few pieces of entertainment have ever dared to tread. Black and White 2 mixed things up a bit, simplifying the creature AI and influence systems, turning it into more of an RTS than a straight up god game. The dilution was not a good thing, and it pared back Black and White's unique charm. Black and White 2 was still a lot of fun to play, as the city building could be very addictive and the combat gruesome, but it wasn't enough to cause it to stand out, and the promised Black and White 3 never came. Whilst Molyneux's Godus could have been a spiritual successor to Black and White, it unfortunately sucked, and seemed to be stuck in development limbo, and I highly doubt EA has any designs on taking the PC exclusive market. There are endless possibilities for a third entry, from a VR God experience to something more basic. It really needs to happen. Lionhead Studios shut their doors for good on the 29th of April, so maybe this dream is gone. For the record, this song has been stuck in my head for 15 years now. God damn.
For good. We're not keen on sinking, so we're all sitting here thinking, 'cause we built it too big and we've run out of wood.
Onimusha was one of the greatest and most famous franchises of the PS2 era, becoming a flagship series for fans of patient actions, where simple hacking and slashing will get you killed, and you must take a more metered approach to battles. The first 3 Onimusha games are absolute classics, featuring pre-rendered background graphics and fixed camera positions. They are definitely of their time, but to this day they are still very appealing to the eye. The combat is the highlight, featuring a slow system in which you must line up correctly, parry and sidestep in order to get a chance to strike at your opponent. It is also a very difficult game, as the somewhat awkward controls and unforgiving enemies mean you will end up dying a lot. To aid you in your quests, you can absorb souls to unlock new weapons, upgrade your skills, and even your gear. There are also small trading hubs in which you can unlock new secrets and even extra modes for future playthroughs. The feudal style mixed with Japanese folklore and myths gave the game a different feel to many of the action games being released at the time, and the excellent presentation and gameplay only added to it. The fourth game in the series, Dawn of Dreams, somewhat abandoned many of these traits, becoming more of a Devil May Cry over-the-top style action game that really moved the series away from its roots, and this really damaged the series, as whilst it was still an alright game, it was too generic to stand out anymore, and the franchise just faded away. Capcom did try and revitalise it in 2012 with a browser game, but this was related in name only, being a card battler. A modern Onimusha would have a very difficult time getting created. Capcom would have an extremely difficult time to modernise the title whilst keeping the classic aspects of the gameplay. Their best bet would be to either copy the classic style completely like they've done with their Resident Evil remakes, or to make a Dark Souls action RPG that draws from the series' heritage. Either way, for gamers that were active during the PS2 era, this is a series that has to come back. The 16-bit era had some of the greatest action platformers of all time, and Actraiser was one of the best, the absolute cream of the crop. The graphics, gameplay and music were all extremely top notch, and it is exciting to play even to this day. It does a lot more than its contemporaries, as it includes RPG elements, allowing you to level up your hit points and SP and use various magic attacks that you unlock throughout. Where Actraiser really stands out though is the city building sections. The game is structured in such a way that you have to go through an action sequence, build up a city whilst defending it with your angel, before completely defeating the demons in the region. It was a unique mix that really hooked me when I first played it as a kid, and to this day it's a concept that hasn't really been attempted since. Actraiser 2 stripped out the city building sections, and with it most of the game's charm, reducing it to just a decent action game. An Actraiser 3 with advanced mechanics in both areas could be really interesting. This mix of genres just doesn't happen nowadays. The game is published by Enix, so I assume that Square Enix now controls the rights to the IP. I really hope they take a leap in the dark and produce a sequel, because it could be something truly special. In an article with Gamer Sutra back in 2008, Fumiaki Shiraishi, lead programmer of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, said he'd like to see a sequel happen. This was 8 years ago now, but if we're lucky, the dream is still alive. The Timesplitters trilogy consists of some of the best first-person shooters ever made, and each one of them was well before their time. They consistently added features that are rarely seen in shooting games, such as a comprehensive level editor, a huge roster of playable characters, cheats and game modifiers that gave the game endless replayability. The level editor is perhaps one of Timesplitters' most famous inclusions, as by the third game you could create fully fledged campaigns in it, as it became an extremely powerful tool, especially for the PS2. This was just not something you saw on consoles. In addition to the multiplayer and single player campaigns, there was a challenge mode which featured the zombies before Call of Duty got there, except this time the zombies were monkeys. The multiplayer was where Timesplitters always shined, as the huge array of modes, options and weapons meant that each match was entirely unique and it never got boring. Humour flows from this series, as each character has its own witty dialogue and design, and it never seems to take itself too seriously, instead focusing on what they could do to make the game more fun. Each entry in the series ramped up the features and content, and this makes it a crying shame that it ended after the third one. There really isn't any other franchise quite like it, and it deserves to get a sequel. Timesplitters 4 has long been rumoured, but after the failures of Haze and the subsequent sale of Crytek, it seems like it may never happen, as it doesn't have the worldwide recognition of other, safer properties. It's harder to sell a campaign that features a Vin Diesel lookalike doing bad one-liners, alongside an array of quirky characters from history, than it is to sell a gruff, dark anti-hero of modern games, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't try. It's unfortunate that Timesplitters was never released on PC, as if it did, I'm sure fans would still be supporting it to this day, with new mods and skins, and playing the multiplayer. But for now, the only way to play it is on one of those ancient boxes with friends sitting around you. The fan appetite for a new entry is so strong, they're even trying to make their own, Timesplitters Rewind, that would be a multiplayer only game featuring levels and content from the whole trilogy. I really hope Timesplitters gets another chance to shine, because those three little games are truly some of the best ever made. Thank you for watching my latest top 5. As of now, I'll be releasing a new one every Saturday. I would love to hear what you thought about my list in the comments below, and what franchises you would like to see reborn or rebooted for the modern era. If you get a chance, check out some of my other top 5s, or even subscribe to get notified when I upload them weekly. Goodbye!
We get some grain. Idly, simply can't leave until we get some grain.